Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, here to the fourth Etecc Metal podcast on our channel. We invited a band over to our place here in Hanover called Copia. Those guys are from Australia, to be exact, from Melbourne, Australia. And the reason we had them on the show was that Marc and Souhaieb actually met them randomly at a show. I believe it was a Meshuggah show in Hamburg, maybe a Gojira show, whatever it was. They met them and talked a little bit about music, and turns out that those guys are like one or two other Australian bands that travel Europe, basically travel the festivals, get to know some people, and then they also play a lot of shows here. Now, those guys have been in Europe before, and when they were over at our place, we got together and talked a little bit about their journey, just dropping Australia, flying over to Europe for a couple of months, actually, and just seeing what they can do, getting shows, playing them, and getting to know people, getting to know new contacts from the metal scene here in Europe. They were really fascinated of Europe and how things are being done here, especially in Germany, with its loads of festivals. So we had Andrew, Bobby, and Chris over at our place. Just see if you can take anything away from this. We thought it's a really lengthy one, but a really interesting one as well. We had a couple of beers, and the new Metallica album came out at that time, so it's a little bit older, but nonetheless, I think very interesting. If you would like to get in contact with Copia or check out what they are doing, just type something like Copia into Facebook or YouTube. They're actually portraying the journey in form of video content on YouTube as well. They're on Instagram, Twitter, you name it. And they actually slept in the car because they didn't have any place to stay. That's how hardcore they are. They don't give a shit. They do whatever it takes to, make their dream come true. And so we offered them to stay a night here at our place, and they were really thankful. You could tell that they really appreciated it to have a regular bed to stay in. So it's really worth checking them out, I would say. And if you would like to get in contact with them, it's copiaband.com. Very, very simple. And if you would like to get in contact with them regarding booking, that would be booking@copiaband.com. So I think that wraps it up for the intro. Check them out. They're a really great band. Really, really worth listening. We had a great time with them. Shout out to the guys again from all of us from Etecc, and enjoy. So let's say welcome to the fourth podcast of the Etecc Band and Music podcast. We just got done just adjusting all the sound. And we got some guests again from Australia. I don't know what's up with that.
We're just everywhere, man. We're just everywhere.
What the fuck's going on? So yeah, like always, Marc, Souhaieb here. And we got the band Copia here. And those guys are from Australia. And before just talking a lot, I just say you guys introduce yourself a little bit, like where you're from, your names, when you started, blah blah blah. And I'll ask the rest.
Ladies first.
Thank you very much. I'm Chris. I'm the drummer in the band. I originally come from Brisbane.
That's all.
That's all I have to say, man.
Okay.
What else would you like?
Thanks.
What else would you like me to say?
Anything about the band.
Anything about the band. We're called Copia. Yeah.
Alright.
There you go.
You guys are like Germans.
We play melodic metal. I'll definitely say that. Yeah, melodic metal. Yeah.
Heavy melodic metal core.
Yeah. Some people say deathcore for some reason. I have no idea why.
Deathcore? No.
Yeah, we're a deathcore band, guys.
Right. So I saw that. I have no idea when you guys started, because the first thing, now before we get into the topics and all that stuff, the first thing that I saw was I could see you have one album uploaded, if that's correct.
Yeah. On
the YouTube channel, and it stalked the Facebook info a little bit. So when did you guys start out with the band?
2013.
Well, yeah. It was 2012, 2013.
Right.
And the first album basically was released in 2013.
All right.
we were just playing some shows around Melbourne pretty much. We didn't really do any touring as such until the album was done, the first album, because we came from previous bands and we just knew that, you know, to have any kind of, I guess, career as a band, you just need a release. So we didn't kind of do the whole, let's do a demo or an EP. We just like...
Right, no. So you released one album so far?
Straight up.
We got 2 albums out now.
Okay, but Etecc,
it's just released.
That's the latest one.
Yeah,
that's our new one.
Yeah, the second album.
That came out about 6 weeks ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But okay, then I didn't see that correctly because on the YouTube channel there was like a few songs up with like with Facebook stuff and all that.
Yeah.
That's the old one.
That's the 1111. Yeah, the first one.
So we actually haven't put the second one on YouTube, which we need to.
Just like
Actually organised it today.
Yeah, we were literally talking about it today.
I was emailing.
No joke.
I was emailing the people.
Yeah.
All right. So, the band comes from Melbourne, right?
Yeah, we started in Melbourne.
And you're from Brisbane.
I live in Brisbane.
So you guys know Gods of Eden and Sean?
Yeah, I've chatted to for a few years. Danny, actually, the guitarist.
Yeah. I think we need to close the windows. Pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you do that real quick? No. We can take a short beer break while we do that. Have our assistant, cameraman.
The gopher.
We just took him off the street, gave him a job. Right. Okay, so Australia, you're one of those bands that comes to Germany, and like for us it's weird because, you know, working and all that stuff is an essential part here. And then all of a sudden, like, you know, Sean's band, when we met them at Rock am Ring actually.
Yeah, right.
And for some reason Australian bands come here, which is nice, and then they're just here, and then they do all this weird stuff. They play shows, go to all the festivals.
Yeah.
So you guys met, I think, at the Periphery concert, was it?
Yeah, at the Periphery show in Hamburg.
Right.
Was that Marc Tyler?
Marc Tyler.
A month ago or something,
So, what, you know, we meet you there, and we meet Sean's band at Rock am Ring. And so what you guys are doing right now is basically touring all the big festivals in Germany and I think surrounding European countries.
Yeah.
So what are you guys doing here? I think you're also playing live shows. I saw that on Facebook. Yeah. We can advertise it later. But what are you guys? Why are you doing this? Like, why Europe? What the fuck are you doing? What's the plan?
You want to do it?
Okay. Yeah, basically, I don't know how much you guys are aware of in the Australian scene. Is not very...
A little bit.
It's not very...
You have one coast.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So, you know, doing tours there, you're already pretty limited by the size of, the population and the amount of places to play.
And the distance between major cities.
Yeah. So touring is actually quite expensive when you... Just to get from one city to another is like 10-hour drive, you know. So...
I remember I planned the one tour with Sean and... Go on.
So
quite a distance.
And to top that with the fact that now Australia, well, for the last couple of years, we haven't had any kind of band or metal, hard rock at all festivals. The last one, Soundwave, was cancelled like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, I remember that. Soundwave.
Yeah.
2 years.
It's not anymore.
No.
Last year was 2014, I think it was.
Yeah, I think 2014. And then 2015 was going to be on, but they got cancelled like literally like a month before it was. Like people actually bought tickets and it didn't go ahead.
Well, in Adelaide, I know that there was 400 tickets sold for the Adelaide Soundwave.
Like it was,
It
was literally it went bankrupt, ran out of money.
Like you can't, like as a promoter, you can't pay those sorts of big headline bands to play.
400.
Just
imagine like Rock am Ring, man, 400 people.
I mean, and this was still like half the size of a Rock am Ring, not even. So so you make all these factors just make Australia for a band, especially now genre, to be quite difficult to kind of, if you want to get to that next level and actually have a career out of it, you know, you're pretty limited in Australia. So the next option... I mean,
you're limited anyway. Because, for, you know, this sometimes we'll have other artists than metal artists here. So you guys are still considered yourself metal.
Yeah, sure.
You know, I listened to some of the songs. It's pretty. I'd say it's not hard to listen to at all.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the more melodic side.
So
of it.
this, melodic metal.
That's an intentional thing that we do, I guess, as well.
Yeah. But so you're limited in Australia. You want to get out, and that's basically the same thing Sean said. But they went to Indonesia for.
Yeah, they did. They recently did a festival in Philippines, I think it was.
Philippines.
Yeah.
Same.
So
That's on the other side of the world. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Different set of islands, but
it's like
close,
for you, it's the same. Luxembourg, Germany.
Yeah.
Sounds the same to me.
No, it's kind of different. But anyway,
it is.
About like 5 hours flight different, I think. But basically, there's a lot more opportunities outside Australia, and the US, of course, is probably one of the biggest ones. The problem with the America is that you need a lot more politics with getting visas and stuff just to perform.
It's harder.
Yeah, it's a lot harder.
Much harder.
It takes a lot more time. You need a lot more connections just to be able to play a show. Like a lot of clubs are owned by certain booking companies or labels themselves. So if you're not with them, you're paying a lot of money just to play that show. They just kind of monopolize it.
So it sucks.
Yeah, so it's pretty shit. So even just to play a show over there, you need a visa, regardless of making any money.
We actually thought about playing a couple of shows in like Boston or something.
Yeah.
And our plan was to go on vacation.
And just happen to bring you guitars along.
No, and then we would organize that someone has a guitar and drum kit for the show, and you just walk into the club. We should maybe jam. What a coincidence this is!
Good idea.
But they told us quickly that cops are going around, and I don't know if that's true at all. But if they fuck you and you do, it counts as work. Even they call people that went to rehearsing, with people, and they counted that as work and sent them right back.
And
exactly. Now that the orange guy's there, it's probably harder. Are you a Trump supporter or what? What is this?
They're all puppets.
But okay, so you went here, and your plan is to just check out all the big festivals.
Well, that is also the main thing. Is it's a great way for us to promote our we just released a new album. So we're trying to promote that, and at the same time plan a tour that we do later on in the autumn, when most people are going to club shows, because we understand the season over here is, summer here is everyone's going to open airs. No one really wants to go to club shows.
Usually it's on the festivals and at the lake or whatever.
Yeah,
exactly. Tend to book shows during.
Thanks, assistant.
So unless we got like a big support or some type of offer like that to book our own club shows during the open air season, it's a lot harder to bring people to the shows. So we use this time So we use this time to promote, not only check out the festival, but promote our new album, and that way build a fan base. So by autumn, by October, November, when we do have some shows, people will know about it and hopefully come.
This is actually a really good strategy. Interesting, because something that we never thought about. Just going to festivals and then talking to people. But I think is different because you came such a long way, and then you're from Australia, and everyone else is German, French, whatever. It's much more interesting. Like if we would go there and then we have a band, and say, oh my god, in German it's different.
I know what you mean. You know what? We feel the same in Australia. I don't really ever would want to promote us in Melbourne, like where we're from. We've done it before, but to be honest, I feel a bit like ugh.
It's different
for a while, because people
because
and they're like, oh, you're just a local band. It's like we don't.
No one gives a shit.
Yeah,
if you come to Germany from Australia,
like, oh, you're from
of course it's interesting. I mean, this is basically the thing. Like bands coming over here, and I visited Sean in their rehearsal room after Rock and Man just went with them. I don't know, we were drunk and we got along pretty well. It's just like, I'll stay with you for a couple of days, and we stayed there in their rehearsal room, and I don't know what there was, Bielefeld, I think. And we rehearsed and drank some beer and had a good time. And I went home, and that's what they did, man. They were so bored because they were staying there and they were done with their tour. And, But so it's actually a really interesting strategy, I think, to come over, and just go to the festivals where the people are that you that should be interested in.
It's our target audience. It's
pretty good.
Without a label or any other type of promoter like that, this is the only way we're going to get our music out to people who will generally probably care about that.
I think it's really hard. If you come from Australia, it's just so far away. Like from everything.
Yeah, it is.
Like down there.
Yeah,
it
is.
Yeah. This Antarctica is next to you, and Indonesia, the Philippines.
Yeah.
And then you have to go such a long way.
That's not even that close. It's still like 10 hours or 8 hours to get to the Philippines.
The closest neighbouring
to fly there,
country is Antarctica.
Okay, so for you guys,
it's not true in line.
New Zealand, shouldn't forget.
Then you can join Metallica on the next gig in Antarctica.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, they're the only band that play there, aren't they?
Right. What is interesting is I think that for you guys, your problem is that you have like one coast and then maybe another coast on in Australia where you can tour back and forth, and that's it. And then you have to go out. Do a lot of Australian bands do this, or are you in Gods of Eden, or it was sending Artex, I think?
No,
you guys
there's a lot of bands that go out of Australia.
Yeah,
like there are a lot of big Australian bands in the German metal scene. Like
for sure. I mean,
Die Art is Murder is Australian.
Yeah,
and like Parkway Drive, obviously.
Northland
just played a big with full force. They were on.
Amity Affliction, Airborne.
Yeah,
Airborne. But actually, I didn't even know of Airborne until I came to Germany.
Like they're not that known.
They are nobody in Australia, really. We're probably as big as Airborne in Australia.
I don't know. Well, look, I remember the last time they toured Australia. Like it's, you don't. I see their name everywhere around Europe, but in Australia, I can't remember the last time I saw them.
That's interesting. Weird. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually very interesting. One question that we forgot to ask before this, because we're drinking beer and slacking, can we play music or is it protected?
No,
we own it all.
Okay, then we'll take beer breaks in front, in addition to the beer, to play some of the music into the podcast so people know what it's all about and all that good shit.
Cool.
Okay, so the first topic that I have, we usually pick, I don't know, gatekeeper stuff, and we're also going to ask you for this, is what do you think makes Europe special when looking at the festivals you've visited? The thing we talked about, like tourism, all that stuff. What makes this different from maybe other places? I don't know. Have you been to the US? Can you compare it? Maybe?
Been to the US.
I have been.
What's different and what's good about it?
Yeah.
What's because for us, with Full Force Festival, we go there and it's good. And
I think the main difference in my own personal experience is when I was touring the US, I was playing in an indie rock band, and we'd only released one album, and we had quite a decent turnout. And I saw some of my favorite metal bands like Animals as Leaders played, and Periphery played. Some of these sorts of bigger bands, and there was less people in the crowd to see them play. And they were quite established at that point. Like Periphery were 3 albums in or something like that. Yeah. And but we were only 1 album in, and we had bigger audience, and we were just indie rock, nothing special, straight out of the, I don't know what the word is, but it was just the most standard music, and we were pulling crowds, and these well-established metal bands weren't. And I think in the special thing about Europe, or mainly Germany, is that it has such a strong metal culture, whereas these festivals, people will come regardless. Like Wacken, people buy tickets the day it's released. It's over.
Where else in the world does that happen?
It's done.
But
I'm sure
Wacken is not not a good example, I'd say, because it's been around for so long. It's more of a cult already.
True.
Exactly.
But where else in the world is there a cult like that for metal?
So we played at South by Southwest in America. That was in Texas, in Austin, and that was cool. That was a big party for a week on the streets, and there was all types of genres there, and it was just a big musical exhibition basically for labels and bands and everyone to meet up. But in Europe, the difference is that these things are, it's almost ingrained into the identity of the country, that you have these big metal festivals, especially you have countries like Scandinavia, where metal is a fucking religion.
Everyone has a band.
And
mostly up there it's black metal bands, but it's still metal.
It's metal. It's different, but it's metal.
Vikings.
But it's just, you don't get that anywhere else in the world. So if you're And I feel like if you take your metal band seriously, you got to be in Europe, or at least in Germany.
Okay.
Because that's where the people are who respect that sort of
even
music.
when the band's still small, or are you more or less talking bigger bands?
No,
I think any
any
doesn't
band.
matter. It's just like a population thing. You think of a percentage of the people who appreciate heavy music. Germany and most of surrounding European countries have a high percentage of people who are interested in that music.
Yeah.
If you go on Google, you put Google Trends, and you put rock, hard rock, or metal, Germany's number one.
All right.
Like literally,
Okay.
I've tried it. So that to me it just shows that this culture in this country has a lot more appreciation for that type.
It's interesting
music.
because
It's
like
very interesting because we thought
don't
about
feel like that
going
at all.
out and try USA, for example.
Yeah.
Because we thought like Germany is a little boring. Like people here are not appreciating metal.
It's the opposite for us.
That's
Yeah,
what
I
we hear
guess
about.
it's always green on the other side. And maybe if we were
I
brought
guess
up here,
because
it's harder
maybe
to
it's
see.
different because like we're asking other people. Also the guy from Arizona from Rock Bottom Bros. If it's more interesting if you come from a different country, would you rather go to a show than there's a local band playing? Of course, it's more interesting. So maybe it's maybe it's a perception issue that for you guys this seems so much better because when normal people listening to metal here and then comes an Australian band and they play live, it's much more interesting because it's what you said, like in Australia, a local band thing.
True, mate.
I think it has a lot to do like from which country you come from and where you're going, how the crowd
React to it.
Yeah, reacts to it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and I definitely think that's a factor in
I'm not saying that it's shit what you're doing. I'm just
Oh,
saying,
yeah.
like, it's,
I agree.
It's interesting because you're saying something while we feel like, okay, man, Germany, everyone's so like normal and mediocre, and actually it's pretty liberal here, and everyone comes here, and this is the shit, man. It's awesome. We're like, obviously, I mean, we're not struggling that no one gives a fuck about it, but for us, it's totally like different. We're like, we should check out the USA. Then maybe it's not even that great to go there.
Look,
but probably it would be different because all a German band. Cool.
I would probably do England before I did the US, to be honest. Just because
it's just so spread out and
because in the US it's just so much political bullshit. But in England at least, I mean, I feel like it's the same battle, whereas like it's an oversaturation. I mean, the biggest problem in England is actually there's too many bands that all play the same sort of sound.
It's the same here.
And it's like you have like a big band playing. Like I think there was a Periphery show and a Suicide Silence show exactly the same day on exactly the same street. And it's like, if you're a fan of both of those bands, like you have to choose. It's like, what the fuck am I doing?
Well, that's first world issues, I guess.
Totally.
Damn, man. But I think England is also as good as Germany when it comes to metal. I think it's about the same, I would say. What I think about United States, maybe it's not even as good as we think, but what I've heard a lot is also in the Rammstein documentary. What they did was they figured out that like everyone, but that was 20 years ago, but like everyone tried to copy American bands and American hard rock and American metal, and they just thought, okay, this doesn't work for us, so they sang German and put heavy riffs on that, and they just said you can't really copy it if you're not from there, and I think for us, when a lot of the bands that come over here are American, like we love Lamb of God, Pantera, Metallica is just a big shit, and we love that, and that's how kind of we make our music as well, because we're kind of into that stuff, and so we're trying to copy that a little bit, obviously, because that's our biggest influences, and like, what do you say about that? Because you're from Australia, you're native English speaking. I think that has a lot to do with it as well. Like, how do you view those bands? Like, is there something, copying American bands, or is there like just a general influence, or how do you guys see that? Like, for example, Rammstein, they sing in German.
Yeah.
Do you like the music? How do you perceive that? I think it's like the language. If I wouldn't understand a certain language,
yeah. Well, Rammstein are probably the one German band that is actually known in Australia quite well.
Yeah.
And when I remember when they first kind of were out on the radio and coming to play some festivals in Australia, I think they did Big Day Out one year. And I didn't have a clue what they were saying, but I was like, they have a cool show. The sound sounds cool. The production sounds cool. I remember doing mixes of earlier stuff and listening to their, as a reference for production. I'm like, it was good. It is good.
Music is good.
Music is good. That's all. Music is a universal language. It doesn't really matter what the language is that they're speaking so much. For me, at least, to appreciate it. It's
funny because now, like, what I'm trying to get to is like when you listen to Rammstein and you don't understand it, but it sounds good. That's how we, if you're like from Germany and you don't speak English that well, that's how you listen to all of the music. Right? You get like imagine Rammstein and there's like 100 other bands like that. And you're like, oh, it sounds cool, man. That's how we perceive it. Or other, like most people in Europe know how to speak English to some degree, but that's the perception that we have, and that's just the question. Because when you come here, it's probably more interesting from the get-go because you're from Australia. And
we've heard a few other German. I mean, like what's that? Die Totenhosen. Some people have been telling us
punk rock.
And
I really like Caliban actually.
We saw them in Hamburg last year. They were a really cool band.
Have you heard of Die Ärzte?
Who was that?
Die Ärzte?
I've actually heard of them. I have not seen them. But
Okay, you heard of them,
describe them to me a little bit, because
it was punk rock. Like started in the 80s, I think, also, and it's German. And but then I think that it covers it pretty well. The other thing that I wanted to know is the festivals you visited. What type of bands did you see? Were there like a lot of rather big headliners, or did you see newer stuff that was coming up? So the question is there still only the big shit being played, and underground bands are like like 3 p.m. no one's there, or do they bring in the new shit?
It seems like, to be honest,
it's a bit of a mix, man. Honestly,
and I actually think it seems like they kind of have this rotation with the bigger bands where 1 year Metallica will headline and another year Linkin Park will headline, and then it's another band. It's always the same, and then 3 years later it's the same band again.
Well, do you have the big
I'm on a March, In Flames, all those bands, like the same kind of ones. The smaller ones that might play in the afternoon, some of them are like I'd say the middle range ones where you have like your there's some of the hardcore bands and then some metalcore bands that maybe are just more known in the European area. But to be honest, some of the ones that I haven't heard of at all, and whether they're from Germany or from England or whether I wouldn't even know. And you just, because they're so at that time of day, like if it's like 2 to like 4 p.m. To be honest, people are still waking up then.
Man.
We don't really ever get to the stage here until after probably 5-6 o'clock anyway.
7 o'clock. If you've got a slot at 7, then you're doing well.
Well, we're just asking because we were like sometimes when you're just talking about stuff all the time, you get all these crazy things you talk about. It's like all these big bands. Is there even anything that huge coming back up? Take Metallica for example. Is there any newcomer band, not necessarily newcomer, but newer band that will at one day be as big as Metallica?
That's a really good question. I mean, I don't know.
That's what we always wonder.
The funny thing is as well, like if we wrote a Metallica album now,
exactly,
we would not be big.
It would be probably bad. It'd be terrible.
That's what we all think. We agree on that. But
I think it's also
it's so interesting because can a band get as big as them again in that genre?
I think it's really
taken into mind.
It's. I think it's the way the whole culture has developed over the last 30 years, and
it's just not the big shit anymore.
Yeah, from the
Metal.
70s when the
rock.
British wave of heavy metal started, and you had Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath, and then Metallica come out, and it just became this whole thing when radio was really the controller of what people listen to.
Right.
These days now, radio is really not that big of a factor. Everyone can just go on
10%.
YouTube.
Have you listened to German radio?
Oh yeah.
I guess it's probably the same way. Everyone they're just playing the same top 40 stuff. Yeah, same.
Sometimes I hear it's like good, like similar radio stations to what we hear in Australia, actually in German.
Yeah.
On German radio as well.
Yeah, so they kind of mirrored a lot around especially in the Western world, I'd say.
Yeah.
But as far as bands becoming,
Exactly.
But with newer bands, like if a label's not, pushing it as like they were, in the 80s and 90s, it made a lot of these bands such a, household name. Now it's like people can just go on YouTube and, if they want to just listen to a certain style, and those certain bands will probably get big within that community bubble that people listen to that. And
so more in a community sense.
I think so, yeah.
I like Volbeat's an example, actually. We went to a few Volbeat shows last year and did a little bit of promotion there, but and it was like Volbeat and Airborne, and I spoke to a lot of people that just said things like, I don't even really like Volbeat, I'm just coming because my friends are coming.
Yeah,
it's kind of the same.
Yeah, but
it gets that vibe a little bit.
But I think, Volbeat are one of those bands that honestly, I think the only reason that, like in Australia, they are not known. No one knows who
completely
Volbeat. They've never played them.
Volbeat, man.
I never heard of them until we came here.
That's like Sabaton and
No,
Sabaton, Powerwolf.
Never
heard of them, man.
It's your favourite band.
Oh, my favourite bands.
I can't
love them.
I can't say they've toured Australia at all.
No.
Unless there's some really small club shows that we just missed, but I doubt it.
I doubt they would even come to Australia.
Yeah, there's no point. They lose a lot of money, but. Bands like that who got on a tour with Metallica. I think that's really how they became successful. And in this day and age, I think if it's either that or you have a viral YouTube video. Otherwise,
it's more in the community.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't think there is a chance. For
like we become big fans of Gojira, for example.
Yeah.
Over the time, first we couldn't really listen to it when we were just Metallica kids. And but over the time, we learned to appreciate that, and it's just awesome. It's just beyond that. But in the metal community, I think that they're like really big and have a certain reputation. They're really good, and all that. Have the really deep lyrics and all those things. And I think maybe that's the not the maximum. They're pretty niche still, I'd say.
Yeah,
not everyone likes that type of depressive. I'm in such a good mood. I'm just gonna put on the Giro. The world sucks. I hate my life. But like Lamb of God, for example, is pretty big now.
Honestly. Yeah, for sure.
We were wondering what they're doing at the moment.
I don't know. They were playing last year, weren't they?
What is another newer, bigger metal band? What do you say?
Architects.
I would say Archies, man.
Yeah.
They blew up
over the last. I mean, when you look at their history, they've been around for
ages.
They've been around for a long time,
at least.
But I think it's their last.
The last like 3 or 4
when they released
years.
Daybreaker, it was extremely under anticipated, I guess. It was a great album that not many people heard. And then they released Lost Together, Lost Forever, or Lost Forever, Lost Together, and that was like that really like made them big. And then people listened back to Daybreaker and they're like, holy shit, these guys were good before as well. And then now they've released All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us.
You have to go for a couple of years, I think.
Exactly. Then they released All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us, and that album had a lot of hype because of what has come before. But there's been people listening to like Hollow Crown, like from the old days, like listening to Hollow Crown, and that album is sick for people as well. So, and I think in the past few years, like I saw them play it with full force, and that show was like I could see people as far as my eyes could actually physically see.
Okay.
That was crazy. Yeah. And they were headlining on the Saturday on the last day. They were headlining the alternate stage, not the main stage.
Yeah.
but that was a crazy show.
Well, we'll check that out because we have probably no clue about that.
I heard. I know that.
You?
I know that.
Okay.
They're
Well,
more modern.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man,
It's more like metalcore.
Yeah.
I guess that would be considered core, really.
Yeah.
okay.
But there's there's a lot of variety in the music and things like that.
I'm talking about like something. For example, okay, Animals as Leaders is probably something
Mm.
modern
Yeah,
that
yes.
like nowadays everyone knows into metal.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I mean, can be, but it's pretty technical.
Yeah.
I'm more talking.
A little
it's-
bit.
I mean,
Yeah,
a little bit.
a little
But
bit, man.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm talking more like
I've got
you know
friends
the
who-
standard
Yeah.
stuff that like even like I don't know your girlfriend can listen to if she's not really that much into metal.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
Pierce the Veil. Is that what you mean? Or
No.
like
Oh no, I'm confusing that. But I think like
Right,
Lamp
I'd say
Lamp
Bring
of
Me the-
God is a good example.
Oh, Bring Me the Horizon. You know,
Yeah, Bring Me the
they have been,
Yeah.
they were a
God.
metalcore band.
It's the
That,
worst, man.
yeah, and now they're like
Yeah, it's a
what
good
Linkin
example.
Park is.
Or,
you know,
yeah.
you know?
You know,
Completely
this
pop.
is a good genre that is actually really modern. That kind of goes into that direction that I described. What is it called? It's kind of metalcore, but it's more like I don't know. Yeah, that type of music. What's the other
like a
band called?
techno sort
Fuck.
of.
What, like,
Yeah, it's
They have like a radio spin, like they have really radio choruses. But
yeah.
then they like
you know,
scream
cute,
and heavy
cute
riffs
boys
and
on
stuff.
Yeah.
beaches and all that.
yeah,
stuff.
okay, yeah.
It's like Justin
type
Bieber, but
Yeah,
Justin Bieber.
yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
So I don't like it at
Yeah.
all. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that just dig it. I
Yeah.
don't know. But I'd say we listened to one of your songs, "Take the Piss Break."
Beer.
Beer break.
beer, piss, and smoke break
Yeah.
all at the same
Good.
time,
Yeah.
and then we'll
Alright.
probably be right back.
Prost.
Ja, Prost.
Hau
So-
weg die
Servus.
Scheiße.
Hau weg die Scheiße, ja.
It's probably my favourite thing to say in German, to be honest. I always get a response.
What?
Or hau weg die Scheiße. Or I say my English is, mein Deutsch is not the yellow from the egg. It's always,
We always
Not
get
bad.
that response.
if they're drunk or old,
Then it's
I
funny.
love it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They love it. They
I
love
love it.
So yeah, we were just debating how long the guys been staying here and how you do that. Just go over to a different continent and just be there for a couple of months. So how do Australians do that? Because I know the pay is pretty good in
Yes.
Australia.
Well,
You go to the mines for half a year.
Yeah, well, some people do that, yeah, and then that's really good money.
And
I
then
mean,
you got like 200 grand, and then
Yeah, you just blow it on.
But the thing
Twitter.
is, again,
We haven't
like,
done that yet.
things in Australia are quite expensive. Like,
Yeah.
for example,
Yeah.
beers, cigarettes, and blah blah blah. If you have any
Rent,
vices like
Yeah,
that,
house
then
and
you're just
especially-
gonna, you're gonna blow through your money. So yeah, you get paid maybe $20-$25 an hour, which converts to German. I mean, well, the euro as being like 18 or less.
Yeah.
But everything in Australia is still quite expensive. So in terms of like, I mean, you do get paid this much, but also everything costs this much.
Yeah.
So take the money, get to
Yeah.
Europe.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
you can do that. Otherwise, I mean, I know for us personally in Europe, like we get paid from the gigs that we play, and also, I mean, like we do the festival promo, and that helps us, only a little bit to make ends meet, to get to the next festival and put fuel in the car and things like that.
Right.
But I mean, we're not living luxuriously at all. Like you could
Living out of a van for 3 months,
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
we're not going to hotels or
hotel.
anything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We're-
So we're living like almost bums in a way. Without the car, the car's at home. So
Yeah.
when you're thinking you're just paying for petrol and you're splitting that 4 ways and you're paying for food,
Yeah.
that's literally all we.
It's interesting because when you are going from festival to festival, enjoying festival A and promoting your band.
Yeah.
So you're saying you're making money there. You're trying to sell CDs if
No,
someone
we're
wants to.
It's it
chip
kind
in
of
something,
yeah,
or-
it kind of covers some because we do the whole thing where people just give some money what they
I
feel
gave
like.
you 10 euros,
yeah.
remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people pay what they feel, and then that goes into paying for the pressing of the CDs. Obviously,
okay.
There's a lot of
yeah,
expenses.
A lot of expenses. Yeah, pressing the CDs, printing up T-shirts for the shows, petrol to get around.
So you're organizing all that stuff while you're here.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Okay.
Our next film clip that we're getting done at the moment is actually we're organising it now.
And we need to send money to that guy to do that as well. So
Okay.
so after all our expenses are laid out, we're going back to Australia with not really that much.
No,
if anything.
No, of course
yeah.
not. But just getting along here,
Yeah, but
you know,
we can.
that's good enough.
As long as we can survive.
You're somewhere
for a
else in the
couple months.
world, and then you can at least pay the fuel, get some food. All that.
Yeah, we can survive. Obviously, it gets to a point where I just want a bed. But it's even then you're like looking at hotels sometimes and going, I don't know if we can afford to split €100 between the four of us. So because you want to be able to keep going a bit longer and put that money into whatever else we got to do.
And then can we afford to buy a ticket for Summer Breeze if we stay at this hotel tonight?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Like
it's all expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
And look, there are some perks where we go to festivals and people we happen to get cheaper tickets. Like there'll be some scalper or something at the front, and we're like, we can actually get in for half price. Like, awesome.
That's lucky,
So there's little bonuses that happen along the way that help us out.
Show wise, what if you want to say? What do you get paid?
It's mainly merch money. Actually.
Merch money.
Yeah.
So they pay you fuel.
I mean, our next gig at Sage Club, I don't even think we're getting anything from the door.
Yeah, no, they always give us maybe some petrol money. They might give us like or maybe €100 or something, or €200.
Okay.
Just a small guarantee.
Yeah, it's normal.
Some of the shows where we've booked where they'll give us a percentage of the ticket sales. But then again, that's also going back to paying for fuel and
of course.
all that.
So the regular stuff.
Standard stuff. We're not special.
And then you go promote, and some people chip in a little bit of money. And that's it.
Basically.
And the rest is savings from
work.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, just to get over here, like you put the flights together with the insurance we got to pay. We buy a van in England. There's already like $12,000 gone before we've even played a single show. So
I mean, for us, it's
or printed a CD. Or printed a CD. Then you're paying more money to print a CD. So when you add all those together and just living costs, you're barely doing.
It's amazing that works. I think it's interesting.
It's a lot of time researching and a lot of time actually. I mean, you'll never know until you do it as well.
There's a big risk, and that's the big thing. I think people seem to appreciate, like, the fact that you've done this and you're doing it. And what if it doesn't work? It's like, well, worst case, it doesn't work. You go back to Australia and you get a job. Like, that's really
exactly.
Like, we're lucky when we live in a country,
at least
a Western world country, where there's always going to be some shitty job available that even if you work at a supermarket, you can make money to live.
Or in a warehouse or doing, the call center or something.
Well, still, I mean, it's interesting. Like, for us, if we were to go, I don't know, to the United States and we got a visa and all that, and just be there for a couple of months, we would have to work quite a bit to just have savings. And then we're German, so we plan everything. And then we're like, what if it doesn't work? Let's not do it.
The risk factor would be.
We can't be half-assed about it in Australia either, like, because it is really far away. And like we have return tickets, and we have to, and if we run out of money, you got to move your flight and everything. It's pretty.
I think that's what also makes us go hard, because when we're here, we've got limited time and limited money and everything. So you really try and make every minute worth it. So we spend that extra time promotion. We spend that extra time, trying to do everything we can while we're over here.
Organising shows.
To make stuff. Whereas in Australia, we would be, you got at home, you got your bed, you're like, I can do it tomorrow. I'll just do an hour or so today. I'll do one. And to be honest, that's what I feel like. Even when we've planned tours in Australia or anything, you kind of do, you can do a bit of your own job, you can go hang out with your friends, you can, so you kind of go a bit half-assed about it.
Even when you doesn't really get done.
Whereas when we're here, it's like there's no other distractions. Just you're here, you've just got to do the band 100%. Like,
well, maybe that's good.
And that's what we talked about a lot of times already. It's like a lot of bands, and we sometimes as well, are way too comfortable, like having the stuff we have, so you aren't forced at all to actually start doing shit because you got enough money anyway and nothing's going to happen. Exactly what you said. That's pretty. Maybe we should just sell everything and go to Australia.
That's not good. That's not good.
Actually, a lot of people go over to Australia.
Don't go to Australia.
They don't have a band.
That's right. You can pick fruits there,
What was interesting is, like, we know a couple people from Germany. They go there, and it's so easy. You visit the guy that offers the job, and it's like, yeah, you kind of get along. Looks good. Let's go. Be there tomorrow.
That's
here in Germany. Everything is like, you gotta write an application, regular stuff, and the payment's really good, and people go there because the payment's so good. Because just be there for 3 years and then come back rich.
Buy a house and a car.
But I mean, it's interesting. Like Australia, after finishing school, you just work somewhere, buy a house. That's it. And then maybe it's different.
That's the system.
In Australia,
I mean,
well, it sounds good. Like here, try buying a house in Germany.
Well, actually, to be honest,
it's like $500,000.
In Australia, the housing is ridiculous.
In Sydney, Melbourne, like now,
Sydney,
like even in Melbourne and even Brisbane to a point, the three biggest cities in Australia, like you need pretty much at least nearly $1 million to buy a house. That's what they're worth now. Like the median.
House.
Yeah, like a 2-3 bedroom home
from 500,000 to $1 million.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not that easy as we thought. It's not US prices for houses.
Yeah, if you're thinking about buying a house, you need at least like 200 grand saved up to at least get the deposit down. And then you get the bank loan, and then there's all the tax and everything.
Then you're paying that off for maybe 20-30 years. And you need a stable job for those 20-30 years.
Of course, so it's basically the same.
And it's 9 to 5
Fuck
every
all
day.
plans. We can't do it.
But for us, when we come here and we see that you can rent a place in Germany for like 400-500 € a month, in some places. To us, that's like someone's a week.
Yeah,
in Melbourne, that's like I was paying a week.
I know.
It's crazy.
But also we have less money.
Like,
So that's the.
We get paid less.
Just a currency thing.
Yeah. So like I know people that only get like 1,200 € a month.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Then it's like almost half of it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's understandable.
What did we want to talk about? I think it was. I have one more question regarding your gigs, and then maybe you two can ask your questions.
Yeah, I also have one question.
Yeah. So let us know the shows you're playing. I mean, you can advertise now. Why not? I mean, are all the shows going to be in summer, or is that fall already?
No, well, we did. We've already done a bunch of shows. Which was the last month.
We've done 5 or 6 shows already in Germany and Switzerland.
Yeah, we got Berlin coming up in a few weeks at the Sage Club, and then we got the Dong Open Air one. There are a few.
That's big.
There are a few other since we've been here, there are a few other kind of ones floating around which we've been offered through meeting other bands and networking.
They've got a show in August that they need a band to fill.
And we're still that may happen, but we're not. The only thing we're trying.
Nothing's locked in yet. Really.
No. The only thing. The only thing we're looking to lock in from now is the autumn tour.
Yeah.
And that's the October. Thing we're focusing our next.
So people can go and check out the site, and then maybe if they're in Germany. Looking around, they can come visit.
Yeah, Facebook, bands in
the
town.
next one is Facebook, the regular.
All that shit.
So the next one is Berlin.
Yeah,
that's on the 13th of July.
Yeah. And then Dong is 15th of July.
And Dong open air.
On Saturday. Yeah.
And it's a main stage. So you can't miss Copia on the main stage at Dong open air.
That's gonna be sick.
Check them out.
It's actually our first festival. To be honest.
Oh, okay. I read it on
general or
Facebook. I think.
In Germany.
Yeah, in Germany. Yeah. Oh, I mean, we've done a little in
small
Melbourne,
festivals in
nothing
Australia,
major in Australia.
It's pretty good. Down openers.
We're really excited.
It's one of the good ones.
Can't wait. It should be good.
It's gonna be a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah, should be.
Now the question that comes is how do you get the gigs here? You said from bands that you meet. How do you get gigs in Australia?
Yeah.
How do you get the gigs here?
Yeah.
I saw you have a booking agency that has everything in Russian.
Yeah,
that's
Ilya.
Well, this is a very interesting question because it's a lot of different
It's the most interesting question for other bands watching.
Yeah.
How do you get the fucking gigs?
Okay, well,
that's the thing.
The first way.
How much do you get paid?
Yeah.
This month.
Yeah. I mean, we played. What was it in Switzerland? I think we one of the shows we played. They just gave us some petrol money or something.
What in Switzerland, dude? That's a mistake. They hussed you. You got hussed, man.
Yeah.
Switzerland is the shit, man.
Yeah, I know they are. They are. No, they gave. We probably made the most because they gave us. Was it Lucerne? What would they give us?
Lausanne. It's the French town.
Yeah.
It's not Lucerne.
Not Lucerne. The other one.
Okay.
Our accent is really bad at pronouncing the towns.
Yeah.
So sometimes people mix up what they are.
That was a really small. That was like the venue could fit like 80 people.
It's called the Rockies, the venue.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it could fit about 80 people. I think they were at the end of the night. They were refusing people entry because there were so many people.
Yeah. So it's still cool,
Good.
but
Nice. Yeah.
And it was like a 5 franc entrance or something.
Nothing much.
That's
Right.
nothing.
Especially for Swiss. Yeah.
Yeah, is it
Like I remember
8 euros
our
or
gig
something?
there was like 20 euros. 20
Francs.
Francs?
Yeah. The one before we played in Zurich was like I think they were charging. 20
Usually they
Yeah.
something.
charge quite a bit. It's like very expensive. So.
Yeah.
This was like the band that knew about us. Like
AMPM.
they invited us to play and put us on and made us the headline band. So
That's
that
nice.
was cool. Yeah, it was awesome. And then so we sold a bit of merch, and then they gave us a bit of money from the door, which we just went there though, not really expecting anything. It was kind of just like, do you want to play? Like, yeah, cool. We'll be in Switzerland because we're playing in Zurich the night before. We had that booked. We'll come and play with you guys. And that show was literally, I think, locked in maybe 2 weeks before it actually happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that really made me realize that how, because a lot of the time, especially when we're planning these trips, we're, trying to book previous shows like 6 months at least in advance.
Yeah.
But when you,
At least.
but when you're a band from your city and like club owners and
You have all the contacts.
and you can make
And you
things
can
actually
speak
happen
German
pretty quick.
to them.
Or their local language if it's French there, whatever.
Yeah, but I think it has again a lot to do. Like, okay, there's an Australian band here around. Let's get them in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
interesting.
Sure,
It's
yeah.
easy and
Actually,
interesting.
I have something to say about that. Really, we saw a band. There was a band that played with Full Force. Like we were on the Metal Hammer stage voting thing.
Yeah.
And we didn't get selected, unfortunately. But these guys got selected, and I can't remember the name for the life of me. But they're really cool guys, and I was actually walking around the tent area on the last day, on the Saturday, and I was just talking to people, and then I rocked up to this tent, and they were like younger kids, but they looked like they were really, really energetic, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm just going to walk up to these guys and tell them about our music. Ended up being this band that played on the Metal Hammer stage yesterday, the day before, so on the Friday, and they were saying that it's, they were amazed by how many people were there, but I walked up and I just said, hey guys, I play in a band from Australia, and they were like, you don't play in Copia, do you? I was like, yeah, I do. And they were like, they were absolutely amazed. Like their eyes were popping out of their head. They were so amazed. And I was like, dude, it's nothing special for me. Like, and when I realized who they were. I was like, wow, you guys are pretty cool. And they were like, we should play a show. Like, let's lock it in. And I was just like, okay, let's do it. So they want to organize shows like in like Bavaria and in Munich. They want to do one in Nuremberg as well.
Well, let's see how many gigs actually come across. That's the other thing.
But the funny thing
there's
is,
another story I got to add to that.
the funny thing is that they're actually quite a well-known band in their area. So
They're from
bring...
Switzerland or?
No, they're from
Germany.
They're from Germany, Bavaria.
What's the name?
Oh, dude, I cannot
Damn,
remember.
man. So bad on the podcast.
That's shit.
That's okay. We'll find out.
If my phone had battery, I'd be able to tell you right now, but it doesn't because.
Do you want to check my phone?
Nah, it won't be on your phone.
We can check and afterwards, or we'll put it in the description if we remember.
Yeah.
I'll write it down.
Yeah.
Write it down. Pencil. It's called pencil.
Band we forgot.
Yeah.
Right.
Nah, it wasn't Cinerest. Cinerest are another cool band that want to do some gigs with us around Leipzig though. But anyway, this band, they're actually quite well known in the town, and they're pulling like 100 people to shows easily. And like, I'm thinking, like, this would be really great. And they're just, they're saying to us, like, it would be an honor to share the stage with you guys. Yeah. And I'm there sort of like, you guys are very well known in your area, and you guys are playing all over Germany. And it's amazing that you want to bring us to your show and have us headline just because we're Australian. Like, we could have done almost nothing. This could be our first release, and I could have just walked up to your tent and said, hey, I'm an Australian guy and I play in
We're actually really bad.
And they would have been like, I feel like almost they would have given me the same response, but I also feel like because we were in the Metal Hammer voting, they would have checked out the bands and
they must have heard their music or something.
And they were really stoked to meet us, and I was stoked to meet them. It was amazing. It was one of the coolest, and also it was also great because my sister just gave birth while I was talking to them. So my sister now, so I'm now an uncle. I was about an uncle for 1 minute, at the time that I met the tent. So it was a nice time. But
pretty good story.
yeah, and then I went and saw Architects after that. So that's good. But it was like that was. I mean, what I mean to say is that, like you said, just the fact that we're Australian.
I'm not saying it's all. It always
It
has
is
to be good.
but it is honestly, it is a factor that does. I would admit it does help.
It does.
You know,
It does help us over here.
You can't deny it. Like, and but that's not like we weren't thinking, oh, let's just go to Germany because everyone likes Australia. We didn't know that until we came here and started doing it, and it's just a thing that just happened.
If your music would be shit, then
that's right. Like when we met, like the first thing I think we listened first.
Yeah.
And then we were like, nice music, and then we asked you, and it was like, we're from Australia. We were like, whoa, that's impressive. Yeah, it's a big fact.
Yeah, because maybe if we were really bad, people would listen and go, most Australian music must be shit.
Shit, like, okay.
Sorry.
We've said funny jokes between us, like just thinking like, what if we just play someone really bad music from another band and see if they react? Like, are people being really nice here, like just because we're Australian? Like we're kind of like trying to, we're thinking, should we just test them?
We
like,
want to do some social
experiments. See, like, we're from Australia. We just put like the worst thing on, and they're like, oh, this is really good.
No,
really?
like
Okay.
But the question is if they would invite you to shows, then.
That's you just never hear from them again. Yeah. No, but look, people are generally honest, I think. Even if people have heard us and they actually just don't like us, some people just go like, I like the band, but the vocals are shit. They'll be honest.
And
you get that. Or they'll say your band is mediocre, or you this, or but every now and then you'll get someone who just doesn't like it, which is fine, and that's part of doing what we're doing. I'm actually surprised we don't get as much
music,
as we do.
Man. It's like there's always people that don't like you.
Everyone has their own style.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
And some people like to be really apologetic, and I'm like, no, dude, say what you want. It's like, if you don't like it, it's cool. We're just giving people listen. If you like it, cool. If you don't, no problem.
In Australia, we're very honest as well. Like, if something's shit, we'll say it's shit.
That's good.
Like in Germany, I think they also don't want to offend us as well, because they're
music
is your life. I don't want to say that it's not very good.
Yeah.
But I would actually prefer if people just said, look, I don't like it. Sorry.
Just be honest.
Rarely people say that directly.
In Australia,
don't want to
get that.
offend anyone. It's kind of a thing. Not everyone, but usually people don't want to. Want to be nice.
Yeah, and sometimes though it comes across as just from when we approach someone, even they'll just think automatically they're just expecting it to be shit. Sometimes.
Yeah, because that's when you go around promoting. Because in Germany, like. Also, a lot of local bands do that, and then they
just go to the stadium.
Well, Well, what I want to say is not a lot of
is here. Here's my city.
But that's what I wanted to say. Is what I don't know what you guys are doing, how you did it, but there's local bands such as here's the CD, just you can listen to it maybe, like at a concert, and then you're just like what happens? Yeah, maybe, or
because you get it for free and you don't appreciate
it. Free is.
We tried that in Australia, and the first release we did, we actually did a 3-track
demo.
And it was the last when we had the last Soundwave. It would have been maybe and it didn't really. We ended up spending a lot of money. I think we printed up like 50,000.
I think it's way smarter, like the way you did it, to give people the chance to actually check it out right there.
Yeah.
And then just usually a couple of seconds are enough to alright, I like it, or I don't.
Yeah.
And it's way better than just
take it and you'll never.
And of course, probably you only get like a tenth of the people actually buying something, but if you get something for free, I always think it's
you don't have as much respect for
it. Totally.
You had no effort getting it, no effort meeting the people. It's just get something like
that person that gave it to you.
There's no value in it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the other factor on top of that is that it's often people just recognize that was just some promoter being paid to just give it out. They don't care. But when we're doing what we're doing, and people also see that we're an actual band as well doing it. Again, that's another factor that makes people go, oh, you're not just someone from a label or promoter, because a lot of the time I don't even tell people I'm the singer of the band. I just I tell people about the band, I say I play in the band, but people just automatically think, oh, so are you actually in the band? After they've heard it, they go, "This is really good, man. What are you doing?" And I say, "Yeah, I'm the singer." Like, "You're the singer?" No. Like, no. Really? And then I'll check on Facebook. Oh wow. And then I think, they make me sing for me. They
pull out a bass guitar. I'm like,
I got it right here.
And I think that makes them also appreciate it. Even another factor. So not only you're Australian and you're actually in the band and you're here showing your music. So all these things, and then those people, like, sure, we don't get as many people.
I mean, you can see how interesting that is. We started the podcast out and we just took the people that we already knew. And then you guys ran into them, and Sean knew you guys, and then you said, let's just do a podcast with them because it's interesting, But also the fact that you're here in Europe means that you guys are going for it one way or another. I mean, of course, like we're all from Western countries. And
you're right, mate.
A little bit dying. Alright. I think I need a couple more suits.
Like the fact that you are doing it is pretty impressive even for us. We always like to think, at the moment we don't have a singer so we can't really tour that much, but we always like to think that we are given more than others. Let's just put it that way.
Privileged in some way.
No, not we're given more than others, but we are giving more into it. More effort into it. Than others. And but what you guys do is go to a different country, all, let's go, and then it's impressive for us. I must say it's very impressive. And it's always Australians. Usually it's not like US bands. I don't know.
Well, have you seen?
I don't know why.
There's an Estonian band going around doing this. We met them as well.
You know what's funny though?
We met them a lot of times.
You know what's funny though?
Go on.
I can't remember the name.
Oh yeah,
we have them on.
I'm sorry. But I've actually met them 2 years earlier,
and then we met them,
and we met them again in the same city. And it was just like
they're very different. They're very different to us, though. In the way that they go about it.
I think there's like 10 people.
I
almost feel scammed when they talk to you. Almost feel scammed. I don't want to be like rude now because they're doing the kind of the same thing, and I believe them, and it's I appreciate the effort. But it's like weird. It's not the same.
Yeah, I know.
For some reason, I can't tell you why. But everyone has met them, which is actually a good sign.
I can't say that, right?
Look, I'll be honest. I saw them.
I don't remember the name.
I met them in.
Why?
I met them in Cologne actually about a month ago. I was just in Cologne, and
Well, let's not say the name though.
Well, I couldn't afford. I couldn't afford food. So I was just like, you know what, I'm going to walk around the street, I'm going to show people the music. Hopefully someone gives me €5 or €10 for a CD.
You couldn't afford food.
No, I couldn't afford food.
That was, one
that was like after our tour. I was so broke, man.
Running out of euros.
And I just couldn't afford any food, and I just said, you know what, hopefully someone takes a CD. So I started walking around the streets of Cologne. And then these guys were just in the middle of the walkway. And one of this girl approached me and said, "Hey, you look like you listen to metal music." I was like, "Yeah."
Fuck yeah.
I was like, "Of course I do. Like, what gave that away?" and she started saying like, "Oh, our band is doing this." And she just started talking, and I was like, "Okay." And then she just started saying like, "Would you be interested in supporting an independent band from Estonia?" And I was like, I was like, look, I haven't heard any of your music. I don't know what I'm buying here. And
they don't actually show you the music.
And I was like, actually, if I'm honest, dude, my pockets are empty. I don't have enough cash to buy food right now. Like, it would be great if you gave me a little bit more money. And I took your CD as well. Like, that would be awesome. But no, and then I started asking her a few questions. I started saying, okay, so you're in the band actually, and she was like, well, I'm in the band, and I was like, okay, but you're not on the album cover. She was like, well, I don't play on stage.
Yeah, it's like we're band switching.
Yeah.
And I was like, so what's the deal here? And she was like, well, he plays on stage and he plays on stage, but everyone else here are just friends, but we're all a big group. And I was like, so, what is this? Because you told me it was your band before. And it was a bit like it was like you said, you feel like you're being scammed.
Kind of like, I don't want to be unfair. Maybe they're in the same situation where they they are putting it all on one car, and they need to buy food.
Exactly.
I want to appreciate that, but at the same time, the approach is maybe not good.
I think the strongest thing for us is that we're just straight up honest with everybody.
You have the music
but
there.
you should be. I mean, if you're not honest in that moment, then they're kind of intimidating to the fact that you feel obligated to give them something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because they are a band, and sorry, but I also have a band.
Exactly.
I also have a band. Can you give me $5?
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, but it's like, but I don't want to be unfair now. They're not here, so that's
exactly.
Those guys.
That's the one.
Yeah. Let's not say it though, because I think it's unfair. But but good point. How did we get to that point? I don't remember.
Maybe it had something to do with that.
I think we were just talking about how.
See,
it's too much beer for you, man.
Already.
I've got too much water.
Too much beer. We're just talking about the amount of effort you guys put in.
Yeah, and the other bands that do it, and you were saying that other bands in Germany do, and I brought up that there's this band from Estonia.
Yeah. What we experienced here in Germany, bands are not doing the effort. Going somewhere, doing all the, even touring in Germany. Yeah. Most bands don't do it. It's we don't get paid. And, it's really hard to find a band that puts everything on one card. So that's what is amazing for us when we see other bands from Australia.
And I think it's just mainly comes down to the fear, the risk of the fear of it, of what if it doesn't work.
And I think also a lot of the people at metal festivals are in some way involved in a band, or have had a band, or in a band, or something like that, and they understand the struggle, they understand the the risk of putting it on the line. And when we approach them and we say, hey, we're playing a band, we're from Australia, their initial thought is they go back to their old band or their old project or something like that, and they think, man, I wish I had done that. And they see themselves a little bit in us, and they say, you know what, I want you guys to go hard, and I want you to do it because your music is good, and this and that, and for whatever reason they're like, okay, I support you guys because you're doing exactly what I couldn't bring myself to do.
Some people don't even drive 2 hours for a gig, and you guys
exactly. And we get that a lot, the appreciation coming from people of just what we're doing. And at first, to me, I was kind of like, what's the big deal? We're just, we shouldn't, it's not like we're making your life any better in a way, but now I realize it's that inspiration that it might give them, and they look back at it and go.
I would say most of the German people are really all about having figured everything out, and being safe and secure and all that stuff. Doing something like that, it's with my job and my house and my apartment, I don't have money, and how do I, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
People wouldn't consider doing that. At least most of them probably wouldn't. So.
And we get a lot of people sending us their music and saying, what do you think of this? Do you think we could tour in Australia? Do you think... what about this? And as if we're some sort of experts
well,
of this.
We're probably no better than you are, really.
We're just 4 guys that write music and come to Germany.
If you're putting all this effort and energy into it, I was wondering, what's your long-term goal? Is it you want to live off the bands I've said?
That would be great.
Look, I think the long-term goal would be to become a band where we can come over or tour here or other parts of the world even, and be able to even play clubs that even just 400 or 500 people, and have them full of people who want to see us, and we can connect, keep doing that, and actually connect with people who like our music, and actually make a living off it, where you don't have to live out of a van for 3 months just to show people music, where you can maybe come over 2 or 3 times a year and do a tour
and be comfortable
and be okay.
And it's not about being rich and having 5 houses and stuff like that.
I think everyone watching, everyone sitting here knows.
It's
over. You can't earn. Not getting rich, but being comfortable.
You can pay for your food, pay for your rents,
maybe even have a a side job, whatever.
Look, whatever you need to, if you want to. But that's the thing. If it's what you want to do, you want to be comfortable enough. I mean, I don't want to have to walk through Cologne again and go, shit, I can't even afford, chips from McDonald's and it's €2.
Yeah, but if you know you can do a tour over what a lot of these bigger bands are doing, where you can tour for do a 30-day tour and walk away with $5,000 each in your pocket or something after that, then that's a good month's work, and then that which is actually achievable, building up what we're doing if we got to the point where we can bring 400 or 500 people to a show.
400 or 500 is big.
It's really good.
How long have you been doing or making music with other bands or?
Most of my life.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 23.
All right.
Yeah, I'm 33.
I'm 24.
All right.
And so I've been playing, I picked up my first guitar when I was probably 11 or 12, and I played guitar for 7 years before I even picked up a bass guitar. And I started the first touring band I was in I was a bass guitarist. And the problem in Australia, and it might be a similar problem in Germany or most of Europe as well, is that there's just so many guitar players. And
Everybody plays guitar.
No half-decent bass guitarists.
Yeah.
So when I was trying to start a lot of the bands that I was trying to start when I was 16, 17, 18, 19, there was never any bass guitarists that actually respected the music the same way that I did as a guitarist, or the vocalist was always like, I would love to come and rehearse, but it's my mum's birthday. Just bullshit. And you're just like, oh my god. So, and I was starting a band and I had the option of there was 2 guitarists that I'd known, and they were both quite good, and I mean I was equal in terms of my ability to play, but I said, you know what, I actually don't mind playing bass guitar. I might actually just play bass guitar in this band. And then when I started writing with the bass and playing the bass more, I fell in love with the bass, and I started to only want to play bass guitar. And I mean, I've got one bass guitar and I've got 6 guitars in Australia, and I've got one bass guitar and I've spent more hours on that bass than I've spent on any all of my guitars combined. Yeah. And I mean, I've only been playing bass for 4 years, to be honest. But whenever I can practice, I practice because I enjoy it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I actually I've been bass player for most of my life.
He's probably a better bass guitarist than I can.
I studied bass.
So that's why.
You just got
That's okay.
Yeah.
Just joking.
Yeah, he was born with it, man.
Man, you got the riff.
You just damn.
You lay down the perfect riff. That's how you guys roll. Man.
None of us here.
It's like being a drummer, man. If you're black, you're just so good. I mean that in the most
it's
way, man.
It's a standard
good.
response. Good.
If I was black, I would be a better drummer.
But every time he stands in the sun, he just goes red. So
basically, you're all black compared to us Europeans.
But I was doing that for 15 years. I played bass, and then I only started singing for this band 4 years ago. Really, because I was in other bands and the other thing I do is I write music for TV ads and films and stuff like that.
You're doing composition.
A lot of that was my main thing, is I wanted to is composing and producing, which I also do, and record some other bands and stuff from time to time. But the last band I was in with the guitarist, that kind of fell apart, and we're looking to do a heavier project with a singer, and I was the bass player, and I wrote a lot of the vocal ideas for some of the demos we had, but I couldn't really sing, and so all I do is I put heavy auto-tune on and just sing into the mic and just to get the melodies out and give it to one of the singers to try and do. And and we and we found some cool singers in Australia, but the problem was the whole they couldn't tour outside of Australia, or they had other it was always there's some commitment that couldn't be as committed as we wanted to be. We want to go to Europe and make stuff happen over there, because if we just stay in Australia, nothing's really going to grow. And it got to the point where we couldn't find anyone, and the other guys in the band thought that, your voice kind of sounds alright in the demos if you actually got rid of the auto tune.
If you actually tried.
If you try, and I was like, I don't think so. But I thought, and then they kept pushing it, and then they started showing their other friends the demos, like, you sound alright. So then I went and got some singing lessons.
It took some convincing.
And went for about 6 months. I said, I'll give myself 6 months if I can get to a point where I don't cringe at myself like I'm going to throw up. Then I'll consider it. So I did that for like 6 months. Went pretty hard, like just practicing heaps. And then kind of got to a point where I was like, it sounds okay. And then we basically just were like, well, if we're going to make this happen, we can't wait around for another singer. Let's just do it.
That's interesting because we're in the same situation, exactly the same situation.
Really, yeah. So
because we had to let the old one go, and Marc is, it's like
debating.
If it was only us three, it's a good boy band name, but that would be so easy. You wouldn't have to the last person we had was a little bit difficult. We don't need to talk about it too much, but if it was only us three, then it would be so easy. Everything.
Yeah.
Because you have the same frame of mind.
Exactly. And that's
we could just go and do everything. No one would be in the shit mood ever, almost.
Yeah, exactly.
And and so Marc is thinking about just picking it up, trying to sing.
Just like you
but
said,
he can't sing. Now the question would
like yes or no.
Yeah. And I think I do it like honestly, like looking
but
back
the thing
now.
is, we all think like we can't sing. How can we make that
well,
work?
that's the same to what I thought, and to be honest, I now
like on the record at least it sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Live it's completely terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be, but I mean on the record I was thinking not bad, pretty solid. I wouldn't have thought that you didn't want to sing.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It wasn't until after I went through that and kind of, had to. That was the only fearful thing. I was like, what if I'm just not good enough? And that was in my mind all the time because you've spent so much time on bass guitar and all these other things. I'm thinking, I'm comfortable with that.
You can't sing.
He's always been in the background.
Yeah, and I actually
because
like
the bass
that.
guitarist is just behind everyone.
I never wanted to be a front in music. It was always producing or bass guitarist. That was it.
So the hard part is soon as if you start singing, you're the front man.
Yeah. And my mentality around it though was that because even when I was a teenager and I was playing bass, and if I had to do a bass solo, I was like, ooh, I'd get really I'd start getting really nervous and stuff. But then over years, I just kind of got so used to it, I just didn't care anymore, and I could just do whatever on stage. And then, but coming into singing, it was like, okay, now that it's a new instrument, those kind of fears started to come back again. But the way I kind of, I guess, programmed myself was just pretend I'm just still playing bass, because on stage I can still perform as a bass guitarist. I still was fine at doing that, and I had no problem with that. So I'm like, if I'm singing, once I can just get competent enough to actually sing okay, then why shouldn't I be able to perform the same? I'm thinking, I don't think I'm a front person. I think I'm just playing in the band. I'm just doing what I want to do.
It's interesting. I think you guys only have one guitar, right? One guitar, bass, drums, and but
it's the keyboard stuff.
Three.
I don't know the guitarist is.
One guy is missing.
The guitarist is at the moment.
What's his name again?
Glenn.
Yeah. And he's the guitarist.
He's the guitar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But wait a second, what are you doing?
He's
I'm the bass guitarist.
Oh yeah, you just said bass. Oh yeah,
bass. Sorry, because I've been telling the story. Yeah.
All the stories, and then
because on the first album,
obviously so you're only singing now.
Yeah. On the very first album,
that was confusing.
Before
because you look more like a guitarist, as you explained before that.
Yeah. Well, I've been a guitarist for longer than I've been a bassist.
It was just confusion because you also told a big story about bass.
Because I recorded bass on the first album.
Maybe you should worry. No, but so you also have one guy at each instrument.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying it's the same thing because of two guitars. And like if one person would sing, taking things into your own hands, make you less dependent on others that aren't maybe on the same
that's right.
mindset.
Exactly.
And that was the biggest thing that pushed us, because we were like, we could wait around for, could take maybe 2 weeks more to find something. It could take 2 years more. You just don't know.
Yeah.
If you want to make something,
that's what we're doing, you know, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
Dude, we've played like 140 shows and it was awesome, and you know, now we're sitting here doing podcasts with Australian bands.
Worst
we're
job
so
ever.
bored.
No, basically we're doing like everything else, but like not playing shows.
Right.
Because we're like disabled, and we can't play shows as a band. So we're doing everything else that we can. At least we're doing that kind of. But
pretty good.
we want to get back on that.
Yeah,
so like that was a thought, and he just picks up the singing and tries it. Gives it like 6 months.
Like
if it's totally shit after 6 months, still.
Well, worst case, I improved my backing vocals. So
we have the same fear. You know, we both look like Islamic State. What could happen?
Exactly.
I just think that like if you're with a group of people that have the same mindset as you should take that as far as you can.
Good
regardless
point.
of your own like, you know.
And maybe even if the singing is not as good as someone else's. But you don't have to bring that other person in.
Exactly.
That complains about, oh no, it's my sister's birthday, I can't come to rehearsal all
my
day.
leg is sore.
And that's and that's the biggest drawback.
I didn't eat today.
If you want to make a career out of a band, you've kind of also got to look at it as a business as well. And so the people that are involved in it, you need to. It's almost like a marriage in a way. You know, you've got to.
Everyone has to pull the rope.
If you can't work together, if you've got a team that can work together, that's already like over 50% of the issue done. Like solved. Music is already the natural part of it, and if you already got that, you should just use it and take it as far as you can go. And I think honestly, from what I've been through, I believe anyone can sing. It's just to the point of how much effort they're going to put into it.
Everyone says that.
Because they say, oh no, but I'm tone deaf or I'm this. No, it's just practice, it's training. It's like
learning to ride a bike.
Or going to the gym. You know, if people go to the gym, you pump the muscle. You know, you'll get bigger. It's a perfect example. You know, like if people do that, and your throat is just like another muscle. You just work on it. It's just half an hour a day. That's
you could
all
become a really good porn star. If you really wanted to.
Like
train that throat. Not you. You can become anything you want. It's a muscle.
We're arrived there.
We've gotten to the point.
But
that's not. There's no girls here, so.
But honestly, I think if you want to make that happen, you can like half an hour a day. Do it for 3-6 months. You'll see an improvement, you know. And
you've done it, so it's good to prove. Maybe someone else is, just thinking about. I want to do it, but you also got to say that some people a lot of people send us sound files. Not to be mean, but saying that I've been concentrating on singing for
5 years.
3, 4. I don't know. It doesn't matter. 3, 4, or 5 years. And it's just it's
not very good.
Oh right, it's totally okay-ish. And it just is, I know it's mean, but it's just how it is.
It's the truth though.
But I think it also boils down to when people say, I've been doing this for 5 years, like how hard are they really going for 5 years? Because people think, I practice like once a week, or I've done this, or I've learned these cover songs, but they're not really. Are they going like focusing like I'm going to make a living out of this? I'm going to go full. I'm going to do it every single day. Like I did every single. When I decided I'm going to do it every single day, half an hour. Till I got to a point where I could not sing for a couple of weeks, and then I'd still have it. But it took like over nearly a year to get to that point. It was 6 months hard. Like I would get up. I would go at 1:00 in the morning for when I was living with my old housemate, and I couldn't be noisy in the house. I'd go for a drive at like 1 in the morning to a park. And just sing in the car for like an hour, like literally, and to the point where, and just do these exercises like every day, wherever I just find 30 minutes a day, wherever it was, to do it, so I could get my voice to the point where it's like getting, when you learn guitar and when you first learn, trying to get your hands around it, it's all awkward, you feel like a retard,
terrible,
but then after
you just practice every day, half an hour,
you don't play for 2 years, and you can still pick it up and still play it, that's what I did with and it took like nearly a year to do that, but now that I've got to that point, you know, there's still so much better things I want to do with my voice, but,
but
it's just getting that foundation.
I mean, to be honest, it's better than probably a lot of bands that we've listened to. You know that I mean, they don't even have a singer if you want. You know, it's like, you know, people contact us and well, I'm a growler. What is that? There's no such thing. You have to be able to sing. Sorry, but like, okay, if you play in Dying Fetus, you can be a growler. Okay, but that's like the one band where that works. And so you know, it's really good. I think better than most stuff. Not to be mean towards any band, but impressive for the time you did it. And let's take a very short break. Another song. I think you have more than one song.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
we'll listen to that a little bit, and then we'll go into the big finale. Ariana Grande.
No.
All right, good.
It's the last part.
So last part now. It's like the 7th beer. You have a really important topic you wanted to cover. Okay.
Yeah, I have one topic.
Prepared.
We like to talk about that a lot in these podcasts, and it's about social media, because from what we experienced, a lot of people don't use it how they should. Even we didn't do it for a long time.
Bands.
Yeah, bands, musicians in general.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, sure. And we noticed, for example, that you have a lot of followers on the platforms, or what I noticed. And I would like to know how you guys see social media and how you use it.
Yeah, sure. Well, look, to be honest, we probably don't do as much as we could ourselves. But on top of that, the other thing is that now it's very, with Facebook, how it's kind of evolved over the last 5-6 years, is that to kind of to connect to the audience that is actually your audience on there now, with the amount of money you've got to pay for promotion, and even when you do pay that money, the numbers that get hit up by, like, we've announced tours on there and paid for it and targeted cities and all that, and for the people in those cities, and then we've played the shows and people are still writing to us going, when are you playing in this city? Like, we just played there yesterday or last week. Like, why didn't you tell me? Like, we've been paying money to have it plastered on Facebook. It's been on our banner page. It's been Facebook. People still don't see it.
Yeah. There was actually one instance in Cologne when we were on the streets all together, and this girl just walked up to us and said, "Hey, you guys are in Copia." And we were like, "Yeah." And she,
man, you're famous.
I was like,
and she said that she met us in a Bullet for My Valentine show last year or something like that. And she said, "When are you guys playing?" And we were like, "We're actually playing at MTC tomorrow." And she was like,
didn't know.
Really?
Wow.
And she follows on Facebook for 3-4 months.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
So
doesn't know.
So what it's really comes down is that as powerful as the social media makes out to be, yes, it is in a way, but the access that the users have to the audience isn't really as strong as people might think. Like, you think, you've got 10,000, 20,000 followers. To get to those people and actually alert them all for what you're doing, 10% of those people are actually reading and seeing what you're getting. And the next thing is, like, I think it's still, and I think it comes back to maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, I think Facebook was at a level where you could post something and everyone would see it. You know, and that was when
Facebook has changed.
It is, and they've got algorithms now to it's designed now to just make money. You know, it's like, pay us this amount to get out to 10,000 people or 1 million people, whatever it is. And even when you do pay that money, though, it's still skewed.
Depending on the post. Like, if you're sharing a YouTube embedded video or something like that,
it's not going to get to as many people.
It doesn't go to as many people.
Yeah, we know that.
It has to be a Facebook video. Every time we have a new vlog up, we cut like 10 seconds just to have a Facebook video up. It promotes it, and you can go there because it's going to be more visible.
It reaches like 10 times more people.
100%.
You see all the stats.
Even YouTube isn't like, I mean, I remember there was a time when you used to share YouTube videos on Facebook, and that was how YouTube videos got a lot of views. And now it's like, you need to have these separate platforms. It's like you only use Facebook, or you only use YouTube, or you only use Vimeo, or things like that. But I think the other thing about social media is that, like, it never is a true representation of what life actually is. So even with these bands, like you can post about all of these great things and people perceive it in a way. And that could be the greatest thing for you, or it could be the worst thing for you, because it could be great in the sense that everybody thinks that your band is like, you know, the next big thing that's coming up. You know, if you put it forward in that way, you can change the way people think about your music and about like how much energy they put into you.
That leads to something we talk also about. Is that a lot of people try to mimic something, to be something else on social media. And we really think that you have to be honest so people can connect with you
and relate,
get what you do. And that's the thing. Like, for example, if you make YouTube videos, most of the bands like only show the best parts.
Exactly.
Of course.
Like they play a festival with 1,000 people. That's the one video they post in 1 year.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly. And it's kind of weird because you gotta show everything.
But it's also sad because, like, in the reality of the situation, if a promoter sees, you know, you playing to 10 people, they're gonna think they would rather see you playing to 1,000.
But still, the reality is like, you know, if you're gonna play there. And you know, the reality is how it is. It doesn't change.
It's showing that
it's like and even like to be fair, even good bands that usually draw a lot of people, sometimes it happens that there's not many people going.
We've seen it like recently, actually. You know, I think it was a band, I won't even say that. Basically, the band there was Sony, a big band. I wouldn't say big as in like massive, but pretty well established band, and we went to a show. Was it Munich? And there was like 15 people there. Another one
can happen.
In backstage in Munich. There was 8?
8
10
people.
Literally, and we pulled more people.
Even though backstage is
a known venue. It was you know, a pretty well established band, and you know, have 20 times the amount of followers that we have. And yet they're pulling not even 10 people, and we're pulling nearly 100.
But you know, maybe
crazy.
Maybe this is the problem is how bands show themselves on social media. So people won't have this feeling like, okay, I gotta support them, and they lose this feel for it because they see only
because
like,
if you
stages. And they will be like, okay, whatever.
It's exactly what he said. You know, they are a bit bigger. But maybe they aren't. But the thing is, if you're that band nowadays, maybe you're putting yourself into a worse spot if you're dishonest, because people think, well, they're actually quite big in the underground scene or something. But then, you know, you don't feel like you have to support them that much. Whereas like you know, when you portray everything and show everyone what you're actually doing, you're like, oh shit, man, they played for 10 people. Okay, I'm just gonna buy a shirt, man. Fuck, man, and it's
a really
honest.
Point, actually.
It's, maybe not, but because like back in the day, I can get when there was not you know, Instagram, YouTube that much. You would just fake it till you make it, and you just like
buy likes and buy views and stuff.
Not even buy likes, but you sign to a label, they promote you, you're big.
That's right. That's
because there were more limited channels to communicate that all.
You
know? And nowadays, I think people should, while there's a lower barrier to get into music, into distributing everything, you know, you have the opportunity to be very honest about everything. I think the other thing is that a lot of bands still have the mentality where they're looking at their band as like, do we want to impress the industry, or we just want to be true? What industry?
Exactly, and this is the thing. But so many bands, and
we've also been signed to a label.
Look, we've had the same thing where we've had offers and all these things, and there's one part where you just want to be truthful, and if you have a shit show and there's only 10 people there,
of course it sucks.
But that's the reality of the situation.
I mean, you don't have to film the 10 people and put it up on
YouTube.
I'm not saying
but
that.
I know, but there's that whole thing of where, and the other point you made, where you just put one video up and there's like of 10,000 people or 1,000 people watching you. And the only reason you would really do that as a band is to go, oh, what if label A or label B comes see us? What if promoter sees us? You know, we want to look good to them. It's not actually then really about and there is also the split in the audience where you have people who get into a band just because they're the cool thing, they're big, and there's people who get into a band because they just generally connect with their music. Doesn't matter how many people like them. So these two audiences that, as a band and a business, you think about who we want to kind of please to both. So what can we do to do that? That's true. That's true, and that's a really good point you make, because we've been in that same situation where we're thinking, should we mention this? Should we post this? Maybe it's not good, or
who gives a shit?
Yeah, I know.
Who gives a shit? Yeah. No one does. And not even your mom.
It's exactly what I
like. My mom may be watching this, but usually she doesn't understand, and she watches the other podcast, and just that. I could say anything. Yeah. She doesn't watch it. Like, who gives a shit? Exactly. Who's going to judge you? No one. Yeah. And, to be fair, not even like labels. They're not standing in the crowds anymore. I'm looking for that one new band that I can sign. That I can pump $1 million into.
That's right.
And then they're going to live in Miami.
That's right. That's right.
It's not.
It's not at all.
They're not there anymore because they're barely making money.
That's right.
The strategy that labels usually nowadays make, not all, but independent's different. But small bands, they offer them a deal. We promote you. You get like 7 articles in the biggest magazines, and then you get a distribution, and that costs so much money, and it costs money. And now they get 10 of them, 30. They got their costs in for the year, and that's how it works. They don't give a shit about you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's so true. Yeah.
So you're catering to someone that doesn't give a shit about you either.
Yeah, exactly.
So the only person that really makes sense that you should give a shit about is actually listen to the music.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
the other day I made a post actually about like basically saying like, thank you to everybody who voted for us at the With Full Force Metal Hammer stage. Unfortunately we didn't get in, and that's just real.
Yes.
And but we appreciate the absolute fuck out of the fact that you guys got up and supported us and did your best.
Like I was walking around with Full Force, and some guy can be, Copia, I voted for you. Why aren't you playing? Or like, dude, we just didn't get enough votes. What happens? Like, man, that's like, he was so devastated, and he's like, I really wanted to see you here, and that was, to me, I was like, that's awesome. That's there's people like that out there who really care.
And I think it's just about being real, and I mean, we spent a lot of time on Facebook and Instagram and everything trying to promote, to get people to vote, and it was a bit shit as well because the voting website was in German. Only there was no option to change it, and a lot of our fans actually are English speaking.
Well, lots from Australia.
So, and I mean, I'm not going to blame that, but maybe it just wasn't.
It doesn't help.
It's just like at the end of the day, we didn't get. We weren't one of the 9 bands that got in, and that's that's fine. That's life, and we just like, you got to be transparent with the people who care about you, and like I don't even treat the people on our Facebook as fans. They're like friends because we've met 90% of them. We've met them face to face. They know us personally. We've had conversations with them all. They're not random strangers who have clicked like because we're the next big thing signed to this big label. We're just fucking, at the end of the day, human beings who have met other human beings who appreciate the same thing, and that's metal music. And we write it, and they listen to it, but at the end of the day, we're all just people in the same fucking boat.
Man.
Yeah, and I think the whole thing with the still that, what you mentioned before with the trying to impress, whatever, that the whole industry kind of programming is still ingrained into a lot of musicians' minds. Like, you need a label to get.
That's what you know. That's what you first think of.
What your mom tells you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or you got to be on the radio, or this has to happen. So. A lot of people.
Why don't you write a hit?
Yeah.
I'll just go write a hit.
That's exactly why I joined an indie pop band as well, indie rock, because like I thought, at least if I'm gonna live in the music industry, I may as well make accessible music.
Right.
But it did not work like that at all.
Yeah.
Well, if you make more accessible music, there's more people doing it.
Exactly.
So if you're like a singer-songwriter, there's a lot of shit ones.
You know what I'm thinking? Like the whole time we looked at your guys' YouTube channel, like 2 days ago, whatever, and like remember all the stories you told us in the last 1.5 hours? Nothing of that is on the YouTube channel. You can't hear your story about the vocals.
True.
Indie band. Like nothing.
We really, that's the thing. We haven't really put any information up there. I mean, we're always so busy just promoting like face to face with people.
I get that.
But we talk about it. It's one of those things that's on our list. Like, we should do this, should do that. But it's, and
it's fine. I'm just saying, like, we didn't do it to a certain point where
Yeah.
unfortunately we didn't have a singer anymore, so we had to focus on all the other stuff, and it was like, you know, okay, the main thing is gone, and then we could focus on other things.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to do this much earlier, like portray everything.
Never did.
But you know, no one was able to edit videos. No one was able to do this.
And this is the
and
beauty
you know,
of
and then
interviews
no one
as well.
no one wanted to be responsible for it.
Yeah.
And then but now we can do this, but we don't have a singer. So,
Yeah.
But
It's the same like what we're doing, or the way we look at it is like, you know, you could be one of those bands that just does the music and waits around to get a distribution deal, label deal, whatever, to kind of get you like into the industry, so you're now a established band. But this is why we do what we do. Just, you know, it's gonna get out there. We just got to get the music to the people. The way I look at it is that there's probably 1 million people out there who will like our music. We just got to find them. You know,
exactly.
You know,
You have to find them, and you're not gonna find them by
sponsoring posts on
Facebook.
Facebook.
not posting either. You know?
As well.
Actually,
One question I have for you is: does anyone is anyone of you in charge of social media, or how do you do that in the band? Like,
it's
you
it's
have
pretty
like
wishy-washy.
tasks, or
I mean,
really.
I think like when I joined the band, I took more of a role on the social media aspect
There's more
myself
active in it,
because I sort of found a few holes in where the page was being managed, and some of the info wasn't up to date. So I took it upon myself to just go, okay, I've got to fix this, I've got to fix that. But I mean, it's like a business, like, you know, where I'm doing social media things with like Bishop's organizing something else, a t-shirt, or we've got Glenn organizing the next thing, or Chappie's organizing the next thing. If you know, just because I'm doing social media doesn't mean that I'm the only one working on the band as well. I mean,
like
that
we
wasn't
have
your
pretty
question.
clear roles.
No, but
do we not?
how do you see it? Does it work that you like you have to assign it to someone, or is it like natural? Everyone does it. How does it work?
Yeah, it kind of just pops up to the point where something becomes like, oh, this needs attention, and then at that point someone will be like, okay, I'm gonna go do this, or I'm gonna do this. And the problem is though with us is that it's not really consistent. So what will happen is that, you know,
especially when we're in Europe.
Because when we're over here, we're always in the move, and some we don't even have internet, you know. So we're like, oh, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this, and then it's like 5 days later, we're only started doing when it should have been done a week ago. You know?
When we're in Australia, we always have internet, or we're in a house or something, and the emails come up on your phone straight away. You respond within 10 minutes. Whereas like, I got an email about some stuff for YouTube recently. Well, I sent an email out 5 days ago. The guy responded 5 days ago, and I saw it today. And I went, oh shit, this email response is 5 days old.
Like being in Europe from Australia, that is like maybe one of the few excuses, so it's okay. Okay.
Look, it's
like I'm in fucking Europe. So
but we don't like to make that as because you want to be on top of these things. You want to.
That's
be,
why I said like one of those excuses you could actually make. It's not. I didn't feel like it today.
But we've still got heaps of people.
I wish more people would feel like you do. Thing, oh my god, 5 days.
But
well, when you want to organize things and you have deadlines, and like, you know, I would love for all the YouTube videos to be up before we play Dom Open Air. You know, and that is literally, I've got to get off my ass and I've got to fucking do it. And if I don't do it, you know, I've got to leave it up to one of the 3 other boys. Hopefully, maybe it gets done. But
that's true.
And there's another 10 other things that we're still trying to chase.
He's got his own list. Chappie's got his own list. Glenn's got his own list. We've all got things to do, and you know, sometimes it's about, you know, the severity. You know, how important is this thing? How important is this thing? You know, and then it comes back to the reason of like, you know, on our YouTube channel there isn't very much. Because that always goes to the back burner.
You know, there's so many things that, you know, day to day, what to do, you know.
And then you spend, you know,
that's a really good attitude you have, but
we actually talked about getting someone else to, you know, try and start. Because
coincidence, we're doing this.
Oh right,
I would love to see your story like in YouTube videos.
I think it's exactly. Like I was saying, like it's a really good attitude, but like why don't you push the YouTube thing more? Because okay, we're talking about Facebook, but you know, it's
Facebook is
who gives a shit.
It's difficult.
And you know, YouTube is a much
like
better.
doing
Like if you put up a video, I saw the one live thing had already like 600 views.
Which live?
Oh, the live video Blue Shell.
Blue
Oh,
Shell.
in Cologne. Yeah.
So a live video from Blue Shell.
We've never really pushed that either. That was just
you
put up
played
there.
it recently. Just put it up there.
Yeah.
Has 600 something views.
We still haven't gone through...
How many people are like at a normal show in Germany when you just 2 weeks before that you play it? There's like 100 people.
Yeah, it might be about that. Yeah.
So that's sixfold.
Yeah.
6 times of that.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
well, that's I was going to say.
Story.
We've still got. We've took the GoPros on the last tour. We still haven't gone through all that footage, and we're still. That's still again another thing we need to do.
Someone has to do it.
I know, and we've talked about getting maybe hiring someone, and then it's like, okay, how much are we going to spend on getting someone else to do this video and all that? But yeah, there's still got footage. Like we did use a bit of it on the Never Forget video we did, where it was kind of like a tribute to like all the people at the festival who supported us.
And we wanted that. We did want that one to be real as well. Like have
this is what happens. Yeah, this is the people that made us keep us going.
Yeah, but that's one video.
Yeah, exactly. I know. But with that
it's
footage,
a music video.
Yeah, of course. But all that footage that we got, there's still we filmed like probably like 3 hours of just us going to different festivals, funny things happening, driving, all this type of stuff that we...
Yeah, it's editing.
Yeah, just going through editing it's a mammoth task, just to do that video and find all those things was like months of just like going through bits of video and picking up those
3-minute video.
Just for 3 minutes,
we
takes
do that stuff as well. It's like putting out 1 or 2 videos per week.
And maybe that just means that our system isn't as polished as it could be.
No, I think everyone...
Not saying that.
There's no right path to go. No one can tell you like, oh, you're gonna have to do a YouTube, for example.
Yeah, but we want to though. It's a funny thing. We actually want to. It's just
we have the GoPros.
Because your story is pretty good. And
I think it is.
And I remember one girl. You remember the girl living in the van or in the car?
Yeah.
It's like one girl who
have the camera
who
ready.
started like her YouTube channel based on this like setting. She lives in her van and films it.
Just
filming
don't pay like
no rent,
stuff like that.
Films that
and she got a lot of attention because the story was like what a lot of people want, kind of.
I mean, it would be
your story is also like that. For example, a lot of Australian bands, like you said, they want to go out. You're doing this shit.
American, German bands.
Everyone.
A lot of bands want to leave their own country.
Especially like if you make it or whatever. Like in retros, what do you say?
Retrospect.
Like retrospect. Like 5 years down the road, it's like, remember when we lived in a van?
Even if you don't make it, I mean.
Even but I mean that would be like the perfect
good memory
situation.
Just for the memory, it would be worth. But
and for other people as well.
I think I can always give the example of that one band. It's not dust on this shit. That one band that did this Why You Do This documentary. It was like the first ones where an underground band did like kind of a diary with video and just taped everything. There were the really shitty shows there with like
played on a bridge.
2 people, 100 people, and they actually had 1 or 2 support gigs of Gojira, and and no one. I mean, it has a lot of views, obviously, and then nothing else came from that band. But it was one of the first things to portray everything, and it's sometimes like when we were watching this, it was at times was a bit uncomfortable, but we always could like relate to it. Yeah, sometimes there's really shitty shows. Like on our worst show, there was like 1 person.
We've played to.
It happens.
In
like
shows
everyone
we played to other bands.
It's not like this. It's just fucking.
We did that in
dying.
Adelaide recently, and then there was a fight in the crowd.
Adelaide was a little bit of a better. I'm talking. There was. I think in Canberra we played once, and it was literally to like just to support the other bands we're playing with. That was it. There was no one there.
I've played in a band before, and it was a band before. It was probably like 2 or 3 bands ago that I was in. But we were Sydney based, and we drove all the way down to Wollongong, so it was like 3 hours out of the way. And we got there, and it was a really rainy night, and it was just shit. And apparently we were playing to this big youth hall, but then they cancelled it because it was raining. But we were still there, so we set up all our gear, and we started sorting it all out. We'd done a lot of Facebook promotion, so maybe we were thinking that there would be people there anyway. It was literally, there was the support act was there, and the 2 people behind the desk. and it was like 6 people in the
Alright,
room,
that's-
and there were
and
all
that's
people
what-
involved.
It
Yeah.
happens. Yeah.
And you know, every band has had this,
Yeah.
unless they're
Yeah.
casted and.
Have you guys seen the Anvil documentary?
The what? Sorry.
Anvil?
No, I haven't actually.
Oh, we'll show
I
you.
know it.
We'll show you.
Okay.
That's
uh,
pretty
Like
pretty
Anvil,
interesting too.
yeah.
Okay.
Maybe those are the first guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
And to be honest, that's their USP. That's what makes them
Yeah.
special.
They're still pretty.
The music was really great.
Okay.
You know,
Metal
they showed
Metal.
everything.
Yeah.
You know, the
Yeah.
struggle made them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they played the show in Germany too, like on a European thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess in Munich, like one fat drunk dude like passed out and like one more person. Like,
Yeah.
That's it, and they
Really?
played there. It's like
Wow.
so embarrassing to
Wow.
watch because you know what it feels like.
Yeah.
Just 8 more songs.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Actually, we
pretty
had one gig where we played two gigs one day. We went to the other place, and we came back to play our show. And there was like two very drunk people on the bar at the bar watching us play, and I was like, no one there. Like
Wow.
a really big hall,
Yeah.
like 2 people sitting on the bar and looking at us, and like one person behind the desk and then one standing there. And then you know that one person actually bought a shirt and a CD for $25.
Well, you must
much money to say. All right,
I'll just give you $25. So we're like, all right.
It's
It's like, all right, good job.
That's a good rehearsal. You know, you got some money for rehearsal.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
It was terrible, but you know, we always had fun because oh my god, this is bullshit. Let's just open 7 beers and drink a lot while we play,
Well,
and then we go.
at this gig, something really funny happened with the band that booked us, and they made like 16 euros.
No, they made I guess 30 something, and then they wanted to split.
30 something.
Yeah.
And then they said, okay, 16 goes for something else,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And then we still have 16 for us. And they are local.
Oh wow.
Local
Okay.
band.
We
And
drove
then
there like
he was like, okay, let's split it. And we drove like, I don't know, 300 kilometers
Oh
or
my
something
goodness.
like that.
we
Like,
got like 10,
Yeah, but I think
euros,
those-
like,
Wow.
yeah.
just give us the...
And I remember we argued with them.
It's
It's like, no, we're going to split it.
I mean, it would have been better if you said you get nothing.
Yeah.
Pretending there's something to split. the
Pretending they
16
care.
bucks.
Oh my god.
Wow.
But you know, those are sometimes the 8-hour drives, and then there's 30 people.
Yeah.
It's a good show, and
Yeah.
people really dig it. But
Yeah,
it's
that's
30,
Yeah.
and you drove 8 hours to like I don't know,
Yeah.
Munich or something,
Yeah.
and then you drive back,
Yeah.
and then at like 7 a.m. in the morning, you put everything back in the rehearsal room, and people that have been to the show, they can't even imagine what you've done.
Yeah.
You know, you start in the morning, come back in the morning, but in the end, no one gives a shit if you don't
Yeah.
show
That's
it.
why
Yeah.
we all should just film and document
Yeah,
so
yeah.
people actually can.
True.
No, I'm just saying that
Yeah.
they can't know if you don't show them.
That's
Right.
true. Yeah.
And if they see, oh shit, man, to that show, I was at that show,
Yeah.
and they started, they packed their things at 7 a.m. and came back at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
You know, just
And they got 9
fuck,
euros.
man.
Yeah.
That's something different than I saw that band. Yeah, we're okay.
Yeah. For sure.
And then you go back to sleep. Maybe some people are interested in that.
Yeah.
we,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think-
we
I
really
think so.
believe that
Yeah.
this is the next step
Yeah.
for a band to become something.
Yeah.
It's just about connecting with human beings.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Yeah. Totally.
Well, telling the
Absolutely.
story.
Funny
like
thing
everyone-
is that in a lot of other areas it's already there, like
Yeah.
the video stuff and like putting out videos every day and
Vlogs
documenting.
and
And the
stuff.
music business isn't really there yet,
Yeah,
at
it
least
isn't
not in
there.
our
No,
level.
yeah.
I'd
That's
say.
what I meant. Like musicians act like the internet doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
I don't know, like any band from like that we
Like,
know that is
We
actually
would love
active.
to see like bands
active on
who are
YouTube.
bigger, and we want to see what they're
They
The
do.
thing is-
like
Yeah,
Gojira,
there's-
what
yeah.
are they doing every day
Yeah,
on tour?
Yeah.
Gojira.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what?
There's
You
actually
watch it.
you probably have
Yeah.
like some equivalent underground star in the Australian scene that is really good or something.
Yeah.
But like here,
plenty of
there's a couple of bands that for the underground scene they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
if you put them in any town, there's probably gonna be like 30, 40 people
Yeah.
showing up.
Yeah.
Just for them.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
In any city. And so like if they would portray that, you know, that would be so interesting.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Yeah.
So
for sure.
yeah, but yeah. some people just don't put out any music videos or anything at all.
Yeah.
And,
I have one last question.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, it's a simple one. It's a quick one.
All right.
For the listeners, do you have like one album that you can recommend to listen to them that is not older than a year?
Oh shit.
Maybe 2 years. Whatever.
just one album people need to listen to out of the top of your head.
All Our Gods of Abandoned Dust.
Yeah, Architects, man.
Okay.
Architects. All right.
Architects. All Our Gods of Abandoned Dust.
Definitely
Okay.
Architects.
I would listen to
Yeah,
that.
but you have to name a different one.
I would say Northline.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
No,
know.
yeah,
do, you
that's-
do you even know the name of their new album, Chappie?
Mate. No, I don't, man.
No worries.
YouTube.
YouTube.
Internet.
You didn't
It's
say
called
anything.
Mesmer.
It's called Mesmer.
There you go.
No, you have to say a different one.
I've said a different one
The
as well.
third one.
Can
One
be
band.
older, whatever.
Taken. Oh my goodness. Well, they've taken like
Quick.
2 hours.
Say one.
Recommend. Oh, man.
I would be in the same situation if you would have asked me.
I just
I don't
reckon
know.
It's hard, right?
I listen to
Me neither. Like, it's a hard question, actually.
7, 6.
All right.
What I listen
thanks
to?
for-
Okay. No, what was the latest?
Just say one album.
I did get into the Animals and Leaders, the last album.
All right.
Animals as
That
Leaders.
came out- that came out in the last year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 2015, I think.
Well, 2 years.
But okay.
It's-
Would you say the new Periphery album's pretty good?
Yeah, but I haven't listened to that as honestly. I haven't listened as much
P3.
as I have as when I listen to Animals and Leaders. I just
It's Animals as Leaders.
as
Animals
There's
in
one-
leaders.
Animals
There's this
inside the
one-
Leaders.
One song I like, something with Web, from the latest album.
The Weaving Wind.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Okay.
Oh, I like
Alright.
Check out Luke Holland, and check out the band
Oh, yeah.
Summoner, and check out the band Etecc. They're the best. All right.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
the three albums probably be Animals as Leaders, Architects, and Northline's new album.
All right.
And Periphery would also get, if I had to
Yeah.
pick two.
Look, yeah.
And Luke
Well,
Holland is a
there's
sick
And
guy.
Luke
a
Holland is a
recent
sick
new
guy.
Dying Fetus album coming out, so you definitely want to check that out.
Yeah.
And I think Justin Bieber
No.
is off the radar.
Actually-
Grande.
Actually,
Ariana Grande is not a topic to talk about.
Actually, I just want to say one other band from Australia released a really cool album that I really liked. Their name is Hellions.
All right.
I think we have that on the list.
I don't know
Really?
I don't know how popular they are in Germany,
I don't know.
but they're
Not very popular.
that album is called Opera Oblivia, and that's a really cool album.
Helens, okay.
Yeah, and there's another band called Trophy Eyes, and they're also Australian. They're from Newcastle. They just released another album.
Heard
And-
Newcastle's in England.
No, there's one in Australia as well.
There's a lot of Australia is like half of its English names.
And that's
I mean, in the end, you're all criminals.
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
much.
Pretty much.
Alright.
But yeah, Trophy Eyes and Hellions, they've got that's some cool stuff as well. And I'd say
Right.
Let Live released a new album about 2 years ago as well, and that's pretty cool as well. So
All right.
Alright,
I'm listening
Good
to
enough.
a lot of new modern stuff, but
good enough.
yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
I'd say that covers it pretty well. This is a very, very lengthy podcast.
Yeah,
It's,
apologies. in
probably
advance
like 2 hours.
Yeah.
for your
2
editing.
hours, but it's
Nice.
good, man.
Yeah,
we
It's
don't
good.
edit.
Oh really?
Like, if you made it to this point, you're the
Hi,
greatest.
Mom.
One of our moms made it to the
one
end.
mom.
And one
Probably
mom.
my parents, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
Let's be
They
honest.
speak English, probably. And
Yeah.
then, that's it. Thank you very much for listening, and we don't want to drag it out for too long anymore. Subscribe to Copia's channel. It's in the description. Subscribe to our channel, otherwise you're a dick. And aside from that, I would say buy merch, buy CDs, and support the bands. Thank you very much for listening, and we hope to see you next time.
Ciao.
Cheers.
This has been a Noisebird Media and Etecc production. If you like our stuff, why don't you subscribe to our channel? That would make us very, very happy. Use the comment section to give us constructive feedback, which is always appreciated. If you liked the video, rate it thumbs up. If you didn't like it, then the dislike button is right over there. Thank you very much for watching, and we hope to see you next time.